Hello everyone, Argsy here. Now I heard a collective sigh of relief, shouts of joy, ultimate pleasure from every PC-based farming simulator player around the globe this morning as the very first version of Courseplay was released. Now it is a beta version, a very, very early Christmas present for us from the developers of Courseplay. But you can go and get it now. You can download it from their GitHub and you can have a play around with it. Now we had a little bit of a play around with it on the stream this morning, and I'm just going to go through some of the very basic settings for it. Really just the tip of the iceberg really with what Courseplay can do. We're going to have a look at some of the old favorites. Can we run 2 pieces of equipment? Going to set up a planter there, have a look at the headland mode. We've got a cultivator set up, and we've also, if you can just about see in the background there, we've got the Vermeer baler in the back there. So we're going to see if we can copy the course from one of these combines and go through and bale the straw as well, because that is one of the biggest features that Courseplay does offer, is if you've mown a field, windrowed a field, harvested a field, you can copy that course across from your harvester, from your windrower, from your mower to a baler, and you can run that course with the baler. So we're going to go and have a quick look at that too. We're not going to dive into everything possible, and from what our testing was this morning, there's a few things that you can't quite do. We couldn't seem to get a trailer to unload the combine, or the combine to auto unload into the trailer. Whether I didn't do it properly, I'm not quite sure. I've tried again and I couldn't get it to work, so maybe it is there, maybe I was just doing something wrong, and you might be able to point me in the right direction if I was. So let's work on this together and see what we can come up with. But first things first, let's just quickly look at their GitHub, so make sure you are downloading the most recent version of Courseplay for Farming Simulator 25. So to make your job easier, I have left a link to this down in the description of the video. I also put it up on the screen there in big letters, but you can see up the top there, github.com/Courseplay/Courseplay_FS25. Of course, if you just go to the Courseplay tab, you'll also find that'll get you there as well. You just have to make sure you click on the main one here, which is Courseplay FS25. You can see all the different versions, 2019, 2022. Some of the different mods they've also done, tool position saver for FS22 as well. But we're going into the Courseplay FS25. It brings you down to this screen. Now there's 2 ways to go through and download the mod. You can click on the release over here on this side, and that will bring this through here, bring you into this section, and you can see the FS25 courseplay.zip down there. If we click on that, it's going to pop up in our top corner. You can see that's downloaded and that's ready to go. The other way, if we go back, is to pop down here and tells you a little bit about this developer version. You can click on that and it takes you through to the same page. So easy enough to do. Do just make sure that you download one of these links from this link and download the courseplay.zip or FS25_courseplay.zip, because that is the zipped modded version. If you download the source code, it's going to be in all sorts of different folders and will not work in your game. So do make sure you get the right version and make sure you put it into your mod folder in the correct location. It's a little bit here just about the developer version as well. Like we said, it is a beta version. It is a developer version, so there is issues with, well, there is things that might not be working or anything like that. As it says, please be aware you're using a developer version which may and will contain errors, bugs, mistakes, and unfinished code. Chances are your computer will explode when using it twice. If you have no idea what beta, alpha, or developer means and entails, steer clear. The Courseplay team will not take any responsibility for crop destroyed, save games deleted, or baby pandas killed. You have been warned. Nice to see they do have a little bit of a sense of humour there. If you're still okay with this, please remember to post possible issues that you find in the developer version. That's the only way we can find sources of error and fix them. Be as specific as possible. Tell us the version number. Only use the vehicles necessary, not 10 other ones at a time. Which vehicles are involved? What is the intended action? Post the log to gist or paste bin, and for more details on how to post a proper bug report, visit our wiki. And that's probably the most important thing. If you want to be a person here who's using the developer's version, have this early access to it, or access to it within, what, a month and a half since the game released, then do make sure you go through and share issues and things like that. And you can do that normally in here, I think, because it's... Oh, it tells you in the wiki. Go through and have a look at the wiki, and it'll tell you how to provide a nice and sexy bug report. There we go. That tells you exactly how to do it. So enough of that. Let's jump back into the game and go and get some equipment moving. So we're actually going to start over here in this field with the Challenger and the John Deere cultivator on the back. So first things first, we're going to jump up into here. Now, my keybind, in fact, let's just go and have a quick look at this. How do we open up the menu for Courseplay? So in the menus, we'll go down to settings, we'll go to controls, and if we scroll all the way down, or to where your mods are, you'll see we've got a Courseplay set of keybinds here. The main one you're going to want here is the open mini GUI, which is delete for me at the moment. Of course, you can set that up and do whatever you like. A few other ones there, Control H and Control G. Control H starts and stops your driver, and Control G will generate a course. There's a few there, obviously, for debugging, because that's the aim of the game at the moment, is a developer's version. But interesting to see some of the other things. You can change the current selected job, change the starting point, clear currently loaded course, toggle course visibility, open the vehicle settings, open the global settings, open course generator and the job menu, open the course manager, and your mouse cursor on and off, which is actually bound there to your right button by default. I think I normally had that on middle mouse button previously, so like anything, go in there, click the button you want to use. And that's going to change it to the button. Make sure you press save once you're finished. So you could bind some of those if you wanted to, but for the purposes of this, we're not going to mess around with anything like that. So jump back out here, and we are going to hit delete. And first things to see, we get our little Courseplay menu down the bottom. We'll bring that up into the middle of the screen. Can't make it bigger, but you can drag it around, position it wherever you like. You'll also see we do have the warning box up here in the top right corner, which has also been added in. So let's just keep this in the middle. Now, there's a few different ways to open things up. We can click on the C there for the course. We can click on that, and that's going to bring up the vehicle settings for the tractor. So see the MT635, so specifically the vehicle settings, whereas the previous one brings us into the global settings. We can click on the course, and that's going to bring us here into the course settings, where we can go and create a course for the tractor. We've got a few things there with our working width, which we can play around with. I'm not going to get into any detail on why you might want to change your working width or your tool offset in this video. This is purely just a very quick, let's take a look at Courseplay and see if the basics are working. In the future, once we get more versions out, we might go through in some detailed videos on how to do some specific tasks, specifically for Courseplay and specifically for maybe unloading combines. Might even have a look at bale collecting, those kind of things, which is still to come. Right. So for this, we're going to take a quick look here. Go into the global settings first. So you can see you can adjust your Courseplay driver wages, 500% right down to 0. So if you don't want to pay anyone, what level does it need to automatically repair, or you could keep it healthy, or don't repair. So you can change those things around. I like the don't repair because you should be managing that yourself. Driver will be released if the fuel percentage is less than 5%. So you can obviously change what level you want your fuel at. You might go to 0 because you're working in a field, but on my advice, it's not a good idea to run a diesel engine out of fuel. Do you wait for refueling or not? There's a broken threshold. The vehicle's more than broken. 100% is off there, so if it gets down to 0%, it will stop working. Stop harvesters when it's raining, obviously a good thing to do because of the loss of yield, so you want them to stop while doing that. And AI helper fruit destruction. Always have that deactivated for helpers, because you never know how they're going to turn, and while you can control it when you're driving, it's a bit unfair to maybe have a worker go off on that tangent and go somewhere they shouldn't and you completely miss out. So that is the basic settings. User settings, there's a few things in here. You've got an expert mode. I'm going to leave that turned off for now. We'll look at that at another stage. Show active courses on the in-game map, so we might just turn that on actually and have a look at that. Show courses on the mini-map, that's activated by default. Action event, we've got that deactivated. We've shown info text, so that is the menu up in the top right corner. I'm going to leave that on at the moment, just because that helps with seeing what's happening. Player mouse event displays the player mouse event for the info text display outside of a vehicle. We've got that activated. Prefer custom field. Now, the reason this might be is if you draw a custom field and merge two fields by recording one, which we'll look at very quickly, we want that activated. So it picks that custom field over top of the regular field. So we'll leave that there. Obviously, you can change between meters and feet. We're going to go with meters because that's what I'm used to. So there is the global settings. Let's skim down now to our vehicle settings specifically for this vehicle. So once again, some basic settings there. I'm not going to go through all of these because we'll be here forever. I just want to get in there and try it out. But you can see all of these different settings that you can learn and understand. And it all depends on what tool you've got attached as well. So do you fold the tools once you've finished the course? Do you go back to the starting point? Do you raise tools early? I always try and raise them late. And lower tools early so that you make sure you're getting a decent overlap there. You can see your speeds, which is kind of important, kind of a good idea. and then we've got the debug as well. I'm going to skip this one quickly. This is how we're going to create our job, and we're going to get into that in a second. This menu here is for saving your courses, and we'll look at that once we get into the Combine, because we want to save the course for the baler. And then we've got a general help. Now, just be mindful of this help. A lot of it is still related to FS22, so just be a little bit mindful of it. But it is a good source. You can see these ones have been updated for 25, but some of the other ones might be. I was looking at it earlier. Looks a bit more like 22 than 25, but in fact, I stand corrected. There it is. I knew there was one. This one looks more like 22 than 25, but a lot of them are there. So there's some information there on how to do different things. So always a good way to go and look and find out what you can and can't do with the help menu. Right, let's go back up here, and we are going to create a job for this cultivator to get started here on field number 2. So obviously, first things first, we've got our Courseplay fieldwork. Can't change that because that is what we're wanting to do. Our target position, this relates to where we want the piece of equipment, or where the piece of equipment is. Our field position, now this is the field. So if we wanted to actually create a course up here in field 8, we could actually say field position, and our target position is where we are. So if we start off from here, target position is probably a little bit more important for some of the other things like unloading and that sort of thing. So for this, we can set our field position. So let's bring that back down into there. Start point, we obviously want to be at our first waypoint for the start of the field. So that is how we create our job. Now, if we wanted to do that, we would come down here and press the Generate Fieldwork Course. And you can see we've got a keybind there of C for that. And then we can press X to start the job. But firstly, before we do that, we want to look at our fieldwork settings. This is where we can change the different settings for the piece of equipment, so, or how the piece of equipment works in the field. So we already know our working width is 4. You might want to bump that down a little bit, maybe for some overlap. Depends what you want to do. Multiple tools, 1 or 2. What can that go up to? Up to 5. We're only running with 1 at the moment, and then we can specify a number of headlands. I'm going to put 3 headlands there for that, for this one. Narrow field, so if this was a long skinny field, you could generate headlands only on the short edges of the field, so it saves you running around the field 4 times. It will just do 3 headlands, or however many headlands at each end, and then we'll do the up and down rows. So you're best to be creating an area to turn around, or if you were finishing the field off with the headlands, then you do the headlands last. And where do we want to start? Well, we're actually going to start on the centre for cultivating, so that once we've done the middle of the field, we'll go around and do the outside. We'll have a look at the sharpened headlands corners. This one's quite a new, well, I don't think it's a new feature, but it's one I didn't look at a lot. But this is actually quite handy, because on a tight headland, particularly in maps and Giants have created, which have quite square corners sometimes, this will actually create a turning maneuver which will turn 90 degrees, basically do a 3-point turn to back into the corner, which is kind of handy. If you want to do a rounded corner first and then do the tight corners because you have a rounded corner, you can specify those first, but we're going to go to 0. Corner radius doesn't matter because we're not turning, and direction of headlands, we'll just leave that at clockwise. There is a percentage of overlap there, so we'll leave that at 7%, and your field margin can either increase or decrease the field size. So if we went big, we would start further in, so that might be a metre inside of the field. If we went the other way, we would overlap the outside by a metre, so you might be a reason you want to do that, just to make sure you get extra. Perhaps it's a grass field and you want to mow the verges, who knows. So moving on, we're now going to look here at the field centre. We're going to be talking for so long, we're not actually going to have much done in this, but setting centre here, we've got our field centres, up, down, spiral, lands or racetrack. We're going to set this one up on lands. Our centre direction, we're going to go around in a counterclockwise, that's fine. Even row width is deactivated. Now this is a new feature, I think, but it will evenly distribute your rows across all lanes. So that one is there. Rows follow field edge curve, which is kind of cool. So if you had a curved field, you could get the rows to follow the edge of that. And we're going to leave that at automatic and 6. So there we go. We've got no islands to worry about. Islands would be if you had a power pole, a tree, a lake, something in the middle of your field you needed to work around. So I think that is pretty much all we need set there. We're not working in the vines, but if you were working in the grapevines, you can tell it what you want to do there with those. So if you were harvesting, spraying, mulching, those kind of things. So let's get down here now. We're going to click on Generate Fieldwork Course. And here we go. So we've now gone, we zoom in here, you can see we've got our 3 headlands. We're going to finish over here. Starting point is here. And the reason for this is because we're doing the middle of the field first, the headlands last. So we're going to come in here, we're going to start doing some rows here somewhere. We're going to spiral around as our lands work across. Then we're going to start on the headlands over on this side because that's where we're going to finish the up and down rows, and then it will go in and finish off over on the edge there. So that is how it is. Did I change the settings? Let's just have a return to start point. So because we have that turned on, when it finishes it will actually come back and park over here. So that is how everything works. So we can start job basically now. So we're going to press X, exit out of here. We could have started the job from in here as well by pressing play, and let this get round to a position where we can see. Now if we turn this on, we can click on these, the eye icon, and this will show the next 20 or 25 waypoints. So you can kind of guess where it's going to be going, or not guess, you'll see quite clearly where it's going to be going next. Or you can see the full course, which shows all the waypoints across the course. Or you can have that turned off, and then that one there is just the first waypoint, and I'm pretty sure you can just see up over there the last waypoint. So some options there for what you want to have shown. We'll just leave it. Actually, we might show the next couple just as we follow here. So you can see we've run one row already. It's going to do a maneuver here to turn because it's not running a land, it's just going back on itself, and that's going to head back down there. We've run across 8 waypoints of 880, so still some time to go. In fact, it's estimating 38 minutes 32 seconds to get this field completed, so quite some time to get going. So that's pretty much the basics of setting up a cultivated field. As you can see, it started work in the middle. We'll do the headlands last. We're going to leave this here running, and we might go and have a look at something else now. So moving on, we've got the John Deere 3650 set up with the Great Plains seeder, and we want to plant some wheat in this field in front of us. So we're going to click on down here on the course option where it says no course. It's going to take us straight here to the help settings for the 3650. Now, first things first, you can see we don't actually have a field selected, so we've got our target and field positioner right on top of us. If we did try, well in fact we can't even, it doesn't even give us an option here to create a fieldwork course. So we need to come down here, pick our target for where we want to start basically. So we're just going to pick that there. You can see that now outlines the field. Gives us the option to generate a fieldwork course. However, we're not quite done yet. We need to go through and give this its details. So we're going to run this on 3 tools. We're going to run this on 3 headlands as well. Now, I want to go through here. We could use scenario field. I'm not going to bother with this. We are going to start on the headlands. We want to run the sharp corners. Now, we're going to turn this down to 0 just so we can see how the sharp headland corners will work. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it on 1 so we can see the difference between the rounded and the sharp headland corners, and we'll have a look at that in just a second. Jumping around a little bit on that, but let's just have a look. I'm pretty sure field centers we might go up and down rows. We might skip a row just to make it easier to turn on the ends. Center direction doesn't match. Row widths doesn't matter too much. We don't have any curves to follow and no islands to worry about, so that is us pretty much done. Go back in here to the map. We'll generate our fieldwork course, and you'll quite quickly see a very simple course. And what I'm going to show you here is our headlands. So you can see this first one is curved, this headland, which means we're not going to get tight into the corner of the field. The next 2 headlands are actually done as square headlands. So you can see immediately we're going to end up with some corners here which don't quite work, but the rest of them are going to be perfect. In fact, if we come back in here, go back into our corner radius, go to 0, back to the map, generate our course, and you can see there immediately that has gone through and created the square corners. But just have a look, we'll go back through and do it with it this way just so you can see the difference between the two. So that's us all done in there. Now, like I said before, we come through here, we can actually press the play button and that will start the course. Now, the tractor's automatically going to find its way here to the field. It wasn't a long way to go, we haven't asked it to do a lot, but it has managed to come through in here and find out where it needs to go to start. And it was nearest waypoint, that's our mistake. So we're just going to stop here again, pull this back out because we actually want to start on first waypoint. So let's just bring this out and do this all again. So first waypoint this time instead of nearest waypoint. We're going to press play and see if this will find out where it needs to go this time. There we go. Took a second to calculate its course, plot out how to get to the field. You'll probably see it's going to drive in, get to the point, do a 180 turn and line itself up there with the start point. And there we go. Back where it should be, turn on the course, we can see the next few points. So we'll just watch this very quickly as it goes around. We'll just look at this one corner. So you can see, just hide the HUD there. You can see it's just going to turn and do a curved corner, and we've got quite a big chunk there in the corner. It's now not going to be planted. Well, wait until we get round again, and what it does to create a square corner as it gets onto the slightly tighter inside of each pass. Alright, one lap done, and as you can see it is only 13 minutes or so to get this field done. It's tiny, it's not going to take too long. But let's just have a look here as we get set up. What's going to happen? So you can see the tractor's driven straight in, it's lifted the implement, and it's now going to position itself to create a square corner, which if we'd done that on the first pass would have meant we wouldn't have that section in the corner which doesn't get seeded. So a nice little feature. Nice way to ensure you don't have to go through and redo sections of the field. Now you could do this with a combine, you could do this with a planter, a cultivator, sprayers, fertilizer spreaders, just about anything could be set up like this. Mowers, all sorts. It might not work the best with windrowers, for example. You might want those following a smoother path. I'm not sure how that would work just from the windrow creation. Obviously it would work, but whether it would actually make it tidy and easy for another tool to follow behind, I'm not sure, but it certainly is a nice feature there to have. Now the other thing I've just noticed is we must have our AI workers set to buy the seed because our seed's not going down. I will just double check that just to make sure it's not a bug. And there we go, the seed is now starting to go down, so that was just that setting and nothing to do with Courseplay. So there we go, that's that all up and running. We're going to leave that moving now, and we're going to go and set up these two combines to harvest the wheat field here on our left, and then we'll get the baler in behind doing some baling. So third of the four tasks we've got set up for ourselves here. We've got the Massey 8570 combines. We've got two of them. Obviously a bit of overkill for this size of field, but it will be a good proof of concept here for running the multiple tools in one field. Combines are always a good way to test that out. So we're going to come back in here again, and we're going to click on the course options. Now one thing to be aware of under vehicle settings for a combine, there's some slight differences here. One in particular is your straw swath, whether you want it activated, disabled on headlands, which is kind of a cool feature because it means if you want to bale it, you can go through and bale just the up and down rows and not have swath on the headlands to get in the way, or deactivate it. We're just going to leave that activated. Some settings there for calling unloader at 80%, so if you're using a tractor or something to unload, it does fill me with hope that that is a function that's working. I just haven't managed to get it to go yet. The self-unload is an option if you want to have a trailer parked on the side of the field. It does say there that it's not supported in multi-tools or convoy mode, so we can't do that. Stop while unloading, so if someone even if you pulled up next to it with the grain wagon, it would stop rather than keeping on running, like having that deactivated. Automatic cutter attach, so allows automatic attaching of a cutter. Haven't figured that one out perfectly yet, so that's something else to have a look at. But yeah, just a few little things there to be aware of when you're running a combine. So let's get back into here, go back to our course settings and fieldwork settings, and this is where we're going to set things up. So first things first, we want to go multiple tools. So switching lanes, I often use that deactivated. Basically it means that the tractor on the right would turn and go down the very first lane, and the tractor on the left would turn and go down the further lane versus not. So there's more detail for that in the help menu. I have not explained that very well. It is quite late at night right at the moment. Number of headlands, we're just going to do one because obviously there'll be two passes. If we did two headlands, that would be 4 laps around the field by one combine, so we'd take off quite a bit. I'm going to start work on our headlands obviously because we're in a combine. I'm not too worried about the narrow field on this one. We're going to leave the sharp headland corners activated, and we're going to take that to 0. One thing I haven't seen yet, and we might see if we can get that, is a distance between. So it doesn't seem to be an option there to change how far in convoy mode the combines are between each other. So hopefully they will figure that out themselves. But everything else, field centre, yeah, we'll just do that in up and down rows. We won't skip any rows. I often do lands because land will allow you to open a field and have the auger on the outside, on the left hand side always, so you could set that up. That would have to be in a clockwise because the auger's on the left, so you'd probably want to be doing that in a clockwise. So we might change that, run that back down to 4. We don't need to be doing too many, it is just a small field. Let's go back into the map here, set our target because we haven't done that yet. In fact, we're the target, we need to set our field. Here we go, right. start at first waypoint, and we're going to go through and generate our course. And what you should see is quite a wide line, because that's obviously 2 combines, so one will be on one side and the other will be on the other. And then we've got our second pass there, and interestingly enough, it's done the lands across the field, which is the shorter direction, sorry, rather than the long direction. Probably, and if we can change that to direction of rows to manual, and we want to go 0 degrees, which is up and down the page, it's probably to do with something with the number of passes. So if we just generate our course again, there you go. It's just because of the size of the lands, so it doesn't matter too much which way it is done, but we might just leave it like that. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. So the other thing we need to do here when we get into this combine is specify which one this is. So we've got an option here, left or right. So you can see it's changing the course and showing us which one it's going to go on. So we want this to go on the left. I think that's everything's good to go. Press play and the combine's going to automatically set itself up, open everything that it needs to, and get off and on its way. So there we go, first one up and running. Now there's 2 different ways to copy the course. We can either use the paste copy course down there as a temporary course, or we can actually go back here into Courseplay, come down into the course management, and we could go through and save the course. So if we click on save course, maybe something that's not working yet, saving course doesn't actually seem to be doing anything, so we might just have to rely, hopefully there, on the copied course. So let's just see if we can get the copied course up on the other combine. So here in the second combine, if we just click here on copy course, temporary course, there we go, clicked on the icon there, basically pasted in. You can see it's brought up the pieces there, the start points, the finish point. We want to be on the right hand side, and that's pretty much all we need to do. First waypoint on the right, press play, and all going to plan. We'll figure out where it needs to go and how it's going to get there. Let's give it a second, maybe waiting for a distance to be behind the combine. I'm not quite sure here with this one. See if it figures itself out or not. Or have we bitten off more than we can chew here with Courseplay tonight? Alright, may have been an issue with being too far away from the field. We've just driven it a little bit closer and pressed play, and it has gone in and made a start. So there we go, got both combines up and running, and we're going to get that all done. See the combine up there in the top is doing a tight corner. It's not doing the rounded corner, so it's driven into the corner with its header, harvested all the crop, and it's now backed up and doing a little bit of a turn, much the same way that the Giants workers do as well. You can actually see it's kind of cut the corner out, so much tidier, much neater way to do things. So there we go, that is both the combines up and running. We've got the cultivator there in the background, got a tractor working in here on the other side. Now one thing I haven't talked about yet, we can actually bring up our mini map down the bottom, make it big, but you can see all the circles there showing all our workers, which is nice and handy as well. So we'll leave all those going. We're now going to go and grab the baler, and we'll have a look at setting the course up to try and bale some of the straw. So for simplicity's sake, we went the Vermeer because it is the self-propelled baler. We didn't have anything that we needed to worry about. So because we want to use the same course that this combine is running, we're going to go once again through and paste that course, and we're going to have the option there for left or right. Now we're going to do the left-hand one first waypoint. Basically, we don't need to do anything else. It is going to, if I turn on all of these markers, it's going to go through and basically follow the course that the combine's just run. So we'll just press play on that just so it can get off and going before the combine gets here. We should see the baler's already started up. It's going to line up there with the swath, and we're away and baling. Just like that, easy as. So what Giants workers cannot do, we are now able to do here with Courseplay. Run a baler on a course and not have to do it ourselves. So I know a lot of people think it's cheating. I think it's really clever, and it's a fun way to play the game because you become a little bit of a farm manager. You can have multiple employees. You could role play that you've got 6-7 employees, so you can only run 6 pieces of equipment at a time, 7 pieces of equipment at a time. You can come up with all sorts of ways to make it work for you. You might just want to be running the biggest farm you can, and as much as equipment as you can. Once bigger maps come out, that certainly will be something that you might want to use. But just so excited to see this out, set working within, like I said, 6 weeks, 7 weeks since the game released. Gosh, hard to think that it is only that much time. Feels like it has been a lot longer than that. Are we going to have a little bit of a collision down there? Looks like the combines are figuring their way out. No, we're getting a warning up there to say one of them's been blocked by an object, but it's got past. They've resolved their little conflict. So there we go, getting our first bale. You can see over the fence there, The cultivator's doing a good job. We're getting our bales baled, we're getting our wheat harvested, and we've got our field planted. So that is about all I have today for Courseplay. There's a lot of other features that are either in the game or still come, things like bale collection, unloading, so you can use a combine to a grain cart to unload combines. There is a whole lot of different things that will come with Courseplay as they continue to develop it, so I'm excited to see all of those be added to the game in due course. So there it is. I hope you found that useful, I hope you found it informative. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.